Let me say a special good evening to all of you and greetings of peace. Once again, it's my pleasure to welcome all of you on our weekly Zoom session. And today we are taking up another very important topic, an experience of God. We all need to have that experience of God because only when we have that deep connection with God, we can experience transformation within ourselves. Because God gives us the power of His unconditional love. And with that love, I'm able to get the power to bring about that change I need to bring in myself. Generally speaking, there are so many conversations going on in my head concurrently all the time. Conversations about people, what they say or didn't say, what they did or didn't do. Sometimes there are conversations about my own self, talking with myself in a very harsh way, beating myself up, what I didn't do right, what I should have done, why I got angry, why I keep procrastinating. These are conversations that goes on 24/7 literally. I wake with them, I go to sleep with them, I even dream about them. So there are conversations about others, conversations about myself, conversation about situations and circumstances relating to myself or what's happening on a global level. And if there are no current conversation relating to what's happening right now, then obviously there are conversations that talks about what happened in the past, all the things that are related to what's happening in my past. So the mind digs up something from the subconscious self and begin to brew about it, think about it, mourn about it. And so how do I quiet this mind, knowing that my mind is that temple, that sacred space in which I can hold the image of God, in which I can invite God to have a heart heart-to-heart conversation. So how do I prevent this sacred space of mine to remain peaceful, quiet, so that I can have a heart-to-heart conversation with God as my friend, with God as my mother, who continuously nurture and sustain me. Conversation or heart-to-heart conversation with God as my Father, who has brought the inheritance of peace and happiness. So how do I do that? I need to bring that silence within myself. And so periodically, I decide to go into a state of solitude, stillness, silence, and invite God, bring the presence of the divine into this sacred space called my mind. The natural nature of the soul is silence, stillness, freedom from busyness, running around, the natural nature. And this is why when we run around too much, we feel not only physically exhausted, but we feel overwhelmed emotionally, mentally, psychologically, because I'm overwhelmed with overthinking or over busyness. So the natural state of I, the soul, is silence, stillness, peace, solitude. These qualities empowers and refresh the soul. So after a day of busyness or after many meetings, I need to give myself a dose of stillness, solitude, being with myself only for a few minutes, and then recharge my battery. Silence, peace, stillness, and solitude are means of recharging the battery of I, the soul. And another way, so one way is to turn within and realize the self as a tiny being of light, a soul, a divine point of energy. Another way of refreshing my mind and recharging my battery is to travel to a world beyond this material, mundane, a world beyond silence, a world rather of silence, a world that is away from movement, and sound. So I take my mind to that world. Very often you hear people say someone has departed, they've left this world, and they've gone to the home where God resides. So where is that home? Where I can travel with my thoughts, where I can travel with my mind only, because that place where God resides is beyond the sun, moon, stars, the earth, beyond this physical and corporeal dimension. We always look upward when we think of God. We all feel that someone has gone to where God is, and that place is beyond this world. And when we enter that realm of stillness, silence, not the movie and talkie world. This world currently where we are is the movie and talkie world. But the world where God resides is the world where there are only souls. No bodies, no bodies, no organs, no movement, no sound, no attraction of the physical, beyond the pull of matter, beyond the pull of the senses, beyond seeing, hearing, touching, tasting. A world where the soul is in a state of total freedom, total liberation. A world where silence is the language. A world where purity is necessary. That's the world where God resides, and that's the where. The world, that's the world we have come from. And that's the world we must one day return. Few days ago, someone was saying to me that her friend lost his 27-year-old child. And that person obviously is devastated. And this person who was speaking about it, relating to me about it, she was saying that she tried to console her friend by saying to her friend that God knows best. And we also often hear people say, not only that God knows best, but God takes the best. I wonder, is that a belief or that's the reality? Does God take away a child from a mother, knowing that that child's leaving will give pain and suffering to that mother? Does God allow someone to come in a church where his loving children are praying, are talking about his greatness, allow that person to kill all these people in God's home? Does God allow someone to go into a mosque, another home of God, and use the method of suicidal bombing and destroy that mosque, the home of God, and the children of God who are praying? Does God bring this virus from China and spread it across the world so that we can get suffering, untold suffering, where we can't say goodbye? Does God do that? Does He take people away from this world? Does He bring a child in this world to suffer, deformed, born suffering, die suffering? Is that the God we are remembering, worshiping, calling out to? Is that the God we ask for mercy, forgiveness? Is that the God we invite in our life? Tonight, I want you to carefully consider, is the God you love very deeply one that gives sorrow? Or is that God one that removes sorrow? Is that God one who interferes with the law of karma, or God who doesn't interfere with the law of karma? If God were to interfere with the law of karma, what would be the state of the world today? When we will be free from the effect of our own karma, what would we not do? When we want somebody and that person doesn't want us, what we will do in order to get that person? When we want to get rich, what would we not do to get rich? And know that God will forgive us because He is merciful. Think carefully. What do you want God to do in your life? How do you want to have a relationship with Him? One who frees you from responsibility and make you a victim of your own action? It's a question we need to ask if we are to move forward and restore back happiness in our life, peace in our life. We all have a mind of our own. And from a baby, a child, when our parents will tell us, go to school, don't miss school, do your homework, study. Too much play will make you dull. Go to sleep early because you have to get up early. When our parents would say, don't play with fire, but we choose not to listen to our physical parents. And when they're not around, we decide to play with fire, to go to sleep late, to skulk from school. We do all of that. And when we become adults and we don't have our formal education and we don't have mannerism, and we don't know how to fend or defend ourselves in the world, is it because of our parents' action? Who is responsible? God is also our parent, parent of the soul, whilst our physical, biological parents are parents of our body. So if our limited physical parents want the best for us, what would God, who is ever pure, who is ever loving, what would he not want for his spiritual divine children? Wouldn't he not want even more than what our physical parents want for us? Would he not want to offer and protect and empower us? So think, which God do we love and invite in our life? A punishing God, an angry God, a God who gets angry and create wars. In the history of humanity, so many wars were fought, and they were called religious wars. And even today, there's so many forms of discrimination. I don't like you or accept you because you belong to a specific religion or belief, and you do the same. Is that the God we are talking about? A God who will judge us because we belong to a specific religion, who will reject us because of the color of our skin, because of whether we are literate or illiterate? Is that the God we ask for mercy from? And so when we think carefully, the God we want to embrace is a God that has unconditional love for everyone, who does not see the body because he himself is beyond the physical body. God stays out of the cycle of birth and death, so so that he can retain the knowledge of past, present, and future, the beginning, the middle, and the end. Only he stays out of the cycle of birth and death, so he retains the memory, the knowledge, the wisdom of what happened in the past, what happened in the present, and what will happen in the future. And because he knows the history and geography of the whole world, and he also knows the history and geography of all of us souls. And because He knows what we did in the past, whether past means earlier in this birth or whether the past meant many births ago, He knows our history and He knows why we are what we are today. And He knows whether we are having suffering or we are having health and happiness. He knows the reason why. And He also knows what's going to happen to all of us tomorrow, whether our destiny is one of happiness and peace or otherwise. He knows history of our past, present, as well as our future. And because He knows that we are governed by the law of karma, and that karma with time plays out, we know as we sow, we shall reap. As we make our bed, so shall we lie on it. We know that, and God knows that. So God cannot intervene with our karma because karma is a law that governs our existence and it cannot change. Whatever goes wrong will come back around and you have to accept it. So God cannot interfere. When you say to God, have mercy for me, God replies, and do you have mercy on yourself? Would you go back and do the same thing you're doing now when I have mercy for you? Would you not have mercy on yourself? When you ask God for forgiveness, He said, did you forgive yourself? Will you repeat what you did? And so the notion that God has mercy and God forgives is quite one that we need to deeply reflect. If God were to have mercy and forgiveness, we will all be happy people on this earth, free from deformities, free from illnesses, free from poverty, free from depression, free from mental illness, psychological disturbance, free from every form of atrocities. If God were to have mercy and forgiveness, then the world would be perfect, but we will not be perfect. And what happens when we are not perfect? We will eventually create an imperfect world. But what God does when we make mistakes? What He does when we make mistakes is that when we want to be honest, have a clean heart, and tell Him the truth, He will stand next to us, by our side, behind us, above us, and hold our hand and take us through our atrocities, our suffering. He will see us through it. He will not interfere with the law of our karma, but he will help us, pull us through, support us, and be our companion when we are going through the settlement of that karma. He will stand with us. God loves an honest heart. And when we are honest, half of the burden goes. Because when we are honest, it does not mean automatically our karma of the past is canceled. When we are honest, we are accepting responsibility for what happened. And when we accept responsibility, we don't carry the guilt. We will pay for the karma, but there will not be the guilt. And when we remember God, there will not be that wall of guilt. The wall of guilt comes up and prevents us from connecting and receiving God's power. But when there's no guilt, we can face God and we can face ourselves and we can face the karma we have to settle. Many times I had the great fortune to be in gatherings of very beautiful but very powerful souls. Sometimes the gathering is with a group of 25,000 and counting. Imagine a hall in which 25,000 plus souls are sitting in the remembrance of one, just one, in silence, in stillness, free from sound and conversation. And some of those souls have been meditating for 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years and counting. And to be in such a gathering, I have had the most exclusive, even though I'm in the gathering of such a large group of individuals, yet the silence is pin drop and you feel that you are able to connect with God so deeply and so quickly, and you can maintain that connection. I remember how often in those moments I can hear God speaking to me so clearly with no words, but it is so clear what He's saying to me, not just what I am silently saying to Him, but what is His response to whatever it is I am communicating with Him. So this silent dialogue, such a powerful, I remember this occasion in sitting in that presence, that connection. I was saying that finally finally, I am face to face with you. And this thought will go, this thought will come, this thought will go, this thought will come, no other thought. Just finally, I am face to face with you. For birth, after birth, it seems I, the soul, was searching for that moment when I can come face to face with God. What it feels like to be in His presence. Alone, whilst thousands of individuals are also present, and they're having their heart-to-heart conversation with God. And so many times, whether I am in such a gathering or whether I'm alone here in the center in St. Martin, and I can, in silence, tune in, I can make that connection that lifts me beyond everything mundane and ordinary. A connection that takes me, a connection that lifts me from the pull of my physical senses. I want to take all of you into another session of meditation. I know we did some at the beginning, but this is a very special meditation in which we are going to close this evening's session.
Take a deep breath in and let it out, allowing your body to relax. As you prepare your mind for your meditation experience, take in another deep breath and let it out, enjoying the feeling of peace that is growing from within. Take in another deep breath as you invite God to be with you, and let it out as you release any feelings of being not good enough. As you continue to relax, let a question form in your mind about something in your life that is concerning you at the moment. Perhaps a situation that is troubling you. Perhaps a relationship that is in conflict. An issue for which you require clarity. A problem which you would like to solve. Something you feel guilty about. Or perhaps a challenge facing you. Take a moment to bring your question into focus so that you can see it for what it is. It may become clearer for you if you view the scene in your mind as if you were watching a movie about your life. This will help you to detach a little and see the whole picture without letting the emotions run away with you. breathing is slow and steady. Knowing that there is always a solution, you relax even more. You are a soul on a journey through life, and situations and circumstances come to teach you, come to make you strong. Your source of strength and guidance is God, the all-powerful and wise one. Knowing that if you continue to do what you've always done, then nothing can change, you relax even more into peace. Now tune your mind to the presence of God, your teacher, your guide. You are seeking solutions, and you will find what you seek. Imagine that God is a bright star directly in front of you, pulsating with power and goodness. As clearly as you can, present your question to God through thoughts, feelings, pictures in your mind. Now, ask to be shown or told what spiritual power or virtue will help you resolve your question. Let God be your guide in this. It may be that you require courage or patience, the power to let go, or the power to tolerate. You may need to forgive, or be determined, or honest, respectful, or generous. With faith and trust in who you are with, and knowing that the solution may not be what you expected, relax and allow your answer to become clear to you now. Remembering that you can only change yourself, not other people. It's okay to be uncertain of what this answer means. And trust that something will come of it. strengthen this power or virtue in you. Ask God, the source of all powers and virtues, to do this for you, to empower you spiritually. Refocus your mind on the bright star in front of you. Let God fill you with the power, the virtue. All you have to do is receive it, absorb it. Be open to God's energy, strengthening your own powers and virtues. I am receiving the help of God. I am filling with God's power, God's virtue.
Thank you very much. I hope you would have gotten a deeper understanding of that one, and that only one, who gives us unconditional love, whose connection empowers the soul, refreshes the soul, sustains the soul. This is what God does for all of us, not some of us, not few fortunate ones, but every one of us is a child of God. Every human soul belongs to Him. And just like when you want to switch a channel on the television to watch a particular news or views, you take the remote and you connect. You change the channel. All of us can connect with God. He's just a thought away. I just have to emerge the awareness that I am a child of God, a divine energy, an eternal being, And I just have to take my mind out of this world of mundane activity, of movement and sound, and go to that world of silence and purity and liberation. Just like you can sit at your home and visualize a member of your family, you can connect with them. Just like you can sit at your home and think of someone at the far end of this earth. Those people are just one thought away. You don't even need to use your cell phone or your wireless system. You can use the power of thought to travel to that place and feel that you're in the presence of those persons, or you are the present in that atmosphere. In the same way, we can sit at home comfortably. We can be cooking, cleaning, walking, eating, brushing our teeth. We can be doing anything, and we can use our mind to invoke the presence of the divine. We don't have to leave our body. We don't have to travel on a plane. We don't have to climb stairs. We just have to think of him. Whilst our hands are busy, we connect with him and invite him to be our companion. And so that throughout the day, I can enjoy God's companionship as the mother, as the friend, as the father, as the beloved, as the guide. Invite him throughout the day in the different activities you are engaged with. Invite. And when you have his company, you have his protection, and no negativity can touch you, let alone influence or harm you. So you have a right, it's your birthright to include, involve, engage God. Involve him. Don't keep him on a pedestal, unreachable, untouchable, so far away, and you are alone, burdened, heavy, disturbed. Invite him, invoke him, involve him, and engage him in your life at all times. And you will receive not just his love, but his power, and more importantly, his protection. Thank you very much and have a good evening. Om Shanti. Again, we invite you ahead of time for next Tuesday, in which we are going to take up another aspect of this journey together. It's been 10 months since we are together, and I'm so happy that most of you try to join us regularly. Thank you and have a good evening. Om Shanti.